Hello and welcome to Rathod Science Academy. Today in this session, we are going to see current affairs of 31st December 2025. So let's get started with our discussion. First of all, let us see the important topics of the day. The first topic it is about, there is one image in International Edition, which is about Kota tribe. So there is a very high chance of getting question regarding this Kota tribe in your prelims. I'll tell you how you can get the questions from this area, and this topic is important from GS paper 1 under society. And next topic is ministry tells social media platforms to block obscene and pornographic content. So this article is very important regarding control of content in social media platforms. And this topic is important from governance point of view from GS paper 2. And next topic is there is one dance form which is seen in our today's newspaper. It is about Kolatam. So actually you know that yesterday we celebrated Vaikunta Ekadashi. So on that event, what happened? So many areas this Kolatam had been performed in many festival temple areas. So this article is very important from your history point of view from GS paper 1, because in your history from art and culture you will be getting this kind of folk dances and as well as classical dances related questions. From that point of view, this Kolatam is very important. And next topic is India is now the fourth largest economy in the world. This is a statement which is given by our government of India. So here you have to see like what are the reasons why India got this status of fourth largest economy, and you have to see what are the steps taken by the government of India so far and what is the impact of this fourth largest economy status for our India. And this topic is important from your economy point of view from GS paper 3. And next topic is a multipolar world with bipolar characteristics, and this article is about our international relations. At present, we are now in this multipolar world, but even though now we are showing bipolar characteristics. So here we have to see what is it exactly and why author is saying that we are having this bipolar characteristics. And this topic is important from international relations from GS paper 2. Okay, look at this image, guys. What can you see here? Here you can see women who are wearing almost same color, white color dress, and they are performing certain dance kind of things, right? So this group of women, they belongs to certain tribe called as Kota tribe. Okay, so you may get a question regarding this Kota tribe. So how you will get questions here is, you'll get simply consider the following statements regarding Kota tribe, and they'll give you 2 to 3 statements, and they may ask you which of the above statements are correct or incorrect. This is the first. And this one here is, we have different tribal groups in our country and they are concentrated in certain states. They'll give you match the following or pair based questions. On one side tribes, on another side the states they belongs to. And actually this Kota tribe belongs to particularly vulnerable tribal group. Already in 2019 UPSC asked a question regarding particularly vulnerable tribal groups. I'll show that question. So in that way you may directly get a question regarding PBTGs. Why this year tribes is very important is because of this Great Nicobar project. Shompen tribe is going to be completely displaced from that area and they belongs to PVTG. So again this year in 2026 you may get a question regarding these tribes in different ways, and you have to be well prepared with these tribes this year. Okay. Now let us see certain facts regarding this Kota tribe. Kota tribe is also called as Kotar or Kove, and it is a small indigenous Dravidian speaking community. Recently we discussed about Santali language. Why Santali language is in use? Why? Our constitution had been released in this Santali language. Why this year we released this constitution in the Santali language? What is a specific feature? A specific important thing that you have to remember is Santali is written in which script? Okchikilip. Okchipi script. So this Okchipi script is the 100th year. We are celebrating 100th anniversary this year. Because of this year's our constitution released in this Santali language, and even our president she itself from this Santali tribal group. So because of this, our constitution had been released in this Santali language. So here you may also get a question regarding the tribe, and as well as Okchiki script or IVC script, Devanagari script, like that. you have to see different areas where UPSC can ask question. Okay, so if you say about this people, they speak Dravidian language. Normally, how many classifications of languages are present in India? In our earlier class we discussed, we have 4 classifications. What are those 4 classifications? Come on, tell me, what are those 4 classifications? Here we have China, right? This area, whatever the language is spoken in this area, they have contact with this China. And here we have Tibet. So the languages which are spoken in this area comes under which classification? Sino-Tibetan. Sino-Tibetan languages. Through which area, from which area this Aryans came into India? In this area, right? So this area comes under Indo-Aryan. Languages which comes under this part comes under this classification of Indo-Aryan, and this part is southern part. Southern part is also called as Dravidian. So here the languages spoken by the people are Dravidian languages, and here we have some tribal groups in different areas like Odisha, Jharkhand, West Bengal, like that. This tribal languages comes under which classification? Austroasiatic language. Austroasiatic. The Sandali language comes under this Austroasiatic that we discussed on that day, right? So now the language which is spoken by this Kota tribe comes under this southern part of India, that comes under Dravidian language. Are you understanding? So in this way you have to connect. Okay, so here this people, they are native of Nilagiri Hills in Tamil Nadu, and they speak the language which comes under Dravidian group of languages. And they live primarily in 7 traditional villages, and these 7 traditional villages together called as Kokal. And and if you see the total number of this population, there are about 2000 to 3000 population of this group, only 2000 to 3000. Because of that, we kept them under PVTGs, particularly vulnerable tribal groups. So here, what is the criteria when we can keep any tribal group under this PVTGs? We have to satisfy certain criteria. First one is population should be low, and population should be stagnant. Stagnant is nothing but there is no growth of population, or there will be negative growth of population. There should be low population or stagnant growth of population or negative growth of population. And next one is they should belong to very low economic status. And next one is they should have a permanent geographical territory. That means they have to live only in that territory only. They should not be seen out of their territory. They should have a particular geographical extent. And next one is there will be low indicators. Socio-economic indicators are very low. Like there is no proper health, there is no proper sanitation, and they will be dependent on the traditional systems only even today. So these are the certain criteria we will be taking into consideration to tell whether the tribal group comes under this PVTGs or not. Okay, and Indian government classified them under particularly vulnerable tribal group because of very small number of population, and next one is they are having very low socio-economic status. And next one here is what is their occupation? They mainly dependent on blacksmithing, pottery, woodwork, basketry, and as well as music. And they provide certain tools, pots, and ceremonial music to neighboring tribes. Like nearby in this Nilagiri Hills, we have other tribes like Todas, Badagas, Kurumbas. So for this tribal people, they will provide certain services. Which kind of services? Music services, and as well as they will provide certain tools and as well as pots, baskets for other tribal groups in that area. they will be having a symbiotic economic relationship. Have you heard about this symbiosis in your environment? In environment, you will be coming across this symbiosis, mutual cooperation. That means, so this tribal group will be providing services to other tribal groups like Todas, Badagas, Kurumbas, and in turn, these groups also will provide certain services to this. So there will be mutual cooperation between the tribal groups who are living in this Nilagiri areas. And next important thing here is you have to remember that there is the impact of modernization on this tribal groups. Because of this modernization, impact of westernization on these tribal groups, now these tribes are also engaging in agriculture, and even they are moving towards government jobs and as well as other professions. Okay guys, that's it. And now let us see the next article. Look at the title. Ministry tells social media platforms to block obscene and pornographic content. So now you guys tell me which ministry will be telling like that? Which ministry will give directions to the social media platforms? Which ministry? Yes, Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology. So in this way, we have to say what kind of ministries we have and what is the work of that ministry. So around we have 59 ministries in the central government. You have to see what are those 59 ministries and what are their roles and responsibilities. You will be getting certain kinds of questions like if there is any report released, if it is in the news, you may get a simple question like recently this report is seen in news, which of the following ministry released that? So if you know exactly how many ministries are there and what are their roles and responsibilities, then only you can answer that kind of questions. Okay, so here which ministry is telling the social media platforms to control the content? We have Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology. Okay, so here what is happening here nowadays? Everyone started using this mobile phones. There is increased access to electronic devices and even there is increased internet facilities, even the rural areas, remote areas. Because of this, what has happened? The use of mobile phones had been increased lots of times. That is multiple times of increasing of use of this electronic gadgets had been increased. So because of this, what is happening here? Children, they are falling under this trap. So they are the victims of this pornographic content mainly. So if this pornographic content and if this obscene related content, if they are circulating in the social media platforms, is that good? No. So because of this, we have to control that. So because of this, now Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology gave this guidelines. Now let us see what exactly it is saying, why this orders given by our ministry now, what is the impact of this? Okay, so here this article is saying that Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology have issued one advisory to all social media platforms to actively control the content. So they have to know which kind of content is circulating in their social media platforms. And if they see that if there is any vulgar information, vulgar content, and if there is any pornographic content is circulating, they have to use technology. They can use AI and they have to automatically detect them, and they have to delete or remove such content in that social media platforms. So this is the advisory which is given by our ministry now. So why? Because there are frequent reports about content violating decency norms and even inducing obscenity and harm to vulnerable groups like children and women. Children and women are getting more vulnerable because of this kind of content. And there are many a times reports are coming. There are many a times many people will be reporting about this kind of decency norms which are violating. So because of this, now ministry took this step and it is giving advisory. And next one here is institutional feedback. And recently we had discussions in our parliament. Recently we had winter session, right? So in this parliament also, and even in the court observation also, many a times in the courts also there is increasing of cases which are filing regarding this kind of pornographic content. And next one here is legal and societal imperatives. As you all know that India's cultural and moral standards, it is to protect public morality. For example, we have Article 19 subclass 2. What is this Article 19(1) subclass A? So we have Article 19(1)A, which talks about freedom of speech and expression. It is my mobile, I'm using my internet, I'm paying to my data package. I can post whatever information that I want, whatever the videos that I have. Is that right? No. So here our constitution is providing this article 19 subclass 2, which talks about reasonable restrictions on this article 1 subclass A, right? So here under this article 19.2, our government of India has to protect public morality. So because of this, now our ministry is addressing these gaps in enforcement, etc. And now they want to protect the people's security, people's decency, everything on the social media platforms. And government wants to protect these children from this exploitation. And next one here is, as a part of broader effects to regulate digital space because of increasing of internet penetration. Now in India around 900 million users are using internet. It is a large base. We want to ensure this platform do not become conduits for illegal material. So we have to control this kind of content which is circulating in our social media platforms. So because of this, now our ministry took these steps. And what is the impact of this, guys? Tell me, what happens if our ministry is taking this kind of steps to control the content? Is that good or bad? Come on, tell me, online students, what will be the impact? What happens in future? We will control the content so that we can protect vulnerable people. Who are the vulnerable here? Children and as well as women. And this one is, we can promote decency norms or not in the social media. Next. Okay, if you're talking about impact, we have to see impact on users, impact on government, impact on platforms. So if you see about these platforms, what will be the impact on these platforms? Whenever this social media platforms like, for example, Facebook or WhatsApp or Telegram or Twitter, whatever it may be, in the social media platforms, now if there is any spreading of this kind of content, directly ministry said that they have to use certain technology AI and they have to detect and they have to remove that. So is that leads to increasing of burden on the social media platforms or not? Now social media is accountable, right? So here what has happened here? There will be increased burden to upgrade the moderation system. Whatever the systems they have to use now, they have to upgrade them. So what happens? There will be increasing of burden on them. And if they want to use AI or if they want to incorporate AI in whatever the websites or whatever the coding system on which it is running, they have to upgrade, means they have to invest some amount of money for upgradation of that entire coding system of that app or entire of that. So what happens? There will be increasing of operational cost for social media platforms to incorporate AI tools now to automatically detect and remove that content. And next one here is, if they are not following the advisory of ministry, what happens? Now they may fall into this legal trap. Yes or no? Now government can impose fines on them, government can file cases on them, government can ban certain kinds of social media platforms if they are not following the guidelines. So this will be the impact on this social media platforms now. Okay, and next one here is on users. For users, there will be enhanced protection from harmful content. And if they are observing any this kind of content, now easily they can report. Okay, there will be easier reporting mechanisms so that we can improve safer online environment. But what happens? There will be restrictions on freedom of speech and expression, right? Or yes or no? Now onwards, they cannot post whatever the information or whatever the videos or whatever the content they have. Okay, that is the one thing. And next one here is, users sharing illegal content can also face criminal risk under POCSO Act now. Okay, so these are the impacts on the users. And now what is the impact on society? So on society we have positive impacts and negative impacts. What is the positive impact? There will be reduced exposure to vulgarity. We are going to improve decency norms in the social media platforms. And next one is better child protection, and even we can promote ethical digital behavior. While using your social media platforms, how you have to behave and how you have to maintain your ethical conduct. Everything can be learned now from this advisory. So what are the negative impacts? We have restrictions on freedom of speech and expression, and even certain digital platforms can struggle with compliances. Okay, yeah, so these are the some negative impacts and positive impacts on society. Clear? And now let us see the next image. So here you can see that image. So here, what can you see here? The group of women who are performing certain dance forms. You can see that. Behind that, what is that image? Huh? What is that? Charminar. Okay, so here what you have to see certain facts regarding this Charminar. Okay, in your art and culture, in architecture part, you will be saying about our ancient architecture, medieval architecture, and modern architecture. This Charminar comes under which architecture? Modern or medieval or ancient? Medieval. So after this Islam came into our country, this kind of arches. So this shape is called as arch, right? Arches, and here minars, minarets, and as well as this kind of small intricate designs on this walls. Pithyodura, Jali work, everything got very famous in India, right? So here you have to see about medieval architecture. While you are reading your medieval architecture, you have to see Delhi Sultanate related architecture and Mughal related architecture. In Delhi Sultanates, you have to see about slave dynasty architecture, Khalji dynasty, Lodi, Sayyid, everything you have to see. And next in Delhi, in this Mughals, you have to see like what happened, what kind of developments happens in this architecture in every important king like Akbar, Jahangir, Shah Jahan, Aurangzeb, before that Humayun, before that we have Babar. So every person's period you have to say which kind of developments, and even you have to know the examples, what kind of architecture they built in which area, and you have to see which kind of stone they used, examples, everything. And from this medieval architecture, you got good significant number of questions in your examination so far. Okay, so now let us see about this dance form. So what can you see here in this dance form? What can you identify? Kerala related dress. Okay, dress form is related to this Kerala white and gold border. Next, they are holding sticks in their hands. Especially Telangana people know about this dance form. It is called as Kolatam, and you may get a question regarding this Kolatam. So how you will get a question here is consider the following statements regarding Kolatam, and they'll give you 2 to 3 statements, and they may ask you like which of the above or how many above statements are right or incorrect. And next one here is they'll give you pair based questions. On one side they'll give you the folk dances and the states to which they belongs to. In that way you will be getting question. And apart from this folk dance, we have even classical dances. How many classical dances are there in our country? Classical dances in India. Geeta, how many classical dances? 8 classical dances. What are they? Bharatanatyam, Kuchipudi, Kathak, Kathakali, Mohiniyattam, Satriya, Odissi, Manipuri. So we have 8. And do you know from which states they belongs to? Bharatanatyam belongs to? Okay, Kuchipudi belongs to? Kathak belongs to? Kathak. Kathak. UP. Odissi belongs to Odisha. Mohiniyattam? Kerala. Kathakali? Kathakali. Fearful dance? Kerala. So like that you have to see which state belongs to, and you have to see even what is a special feature of that dance. Okay, which kind of dress they will wear, in which dance Tandava is like dominant, Lasya component is, Lasya is nothing but female version, male is Tandava. So like that you have to see, and especially in Kathakali you can see different colors they will be painted on their face, green color, red color, black color, white color, each and every color signifies one thing. So you have to see that. And even in certain posture, in certain dances, certain postures will be there. like Tribanga posture that is famous in this Odissi dance. So like that you have to watch the dance at least 2 to 5 minutes like that, and you have to identify important features of that dance clearly. On that also UPSC asked earlier questions in your prelims. Okay, now let us see certain facts regarding this Kolatam. Kolatam is a folk dance of states of AP and as well as even Tamil Nadu and even in Telangana also. We will have this folk dance. And it is a part of religious offerings where women dancers pay homage to the temple goddesses. To the temple goddesses who will perform this dance, women. That is only Lasya part will be there. There is no Tandava part. Have you ever seen women or have you ever seen this man who is holding the stick and dancing? Very, very less. Only the master will be teaching this woman, but other than that, males will not do this dance. Only females will be doing this dance. And this Kolatam dance is predominantly the dance of women without involving men here. And this form of dance is also called as Kokalanalu or Kolanalu. And this is a popular form of dance usually performed together as a group, where two artists each or a group as a pair. So here two persons will be acting as a pair and they will be doing this dance. Each dancer holds two sticks and move these sticks in a rhythm. And normally that stick is a solid wooden stick made up of wood. Okay, so these are the things that you have to remember. And now let us see the next article. See the title, guys. India is now the fourth largest economy, says center. This article is very, very important. Please make a note. India is now fourth largest economy. So what is the target of our country? We have to reach the status of third largest economy by 2030. Now we reached this place, fourth largest. Earlier, which country is the fourth place? Japan. Yes, we surpassed Japan. And now India is the fourth largest economy in the world. If you are taking proper steps, obviously we can reach this third place in the world by 2030. Okay, now let us see what are the steps taken by the government so far and how we beated this Japan. The Indian government announced that India has overtaken Japan to become world's fourth largest economy. So if you see the GDP value, India's GDP is approximately, please make a note, $4.18 trillion. $4.18 trillion. Japan's is around 4.11 trillion. Japan's GDP is $4.11 trillion. India's is $4.18 trillion. So this article is saying that India achieved a milestone in economic growth. So why this happened? What is the major reason here is in the second quarter, India recorded the highest growth that we discussed. It is around 8.2% that we discussed, right? So because of this highest growth which had been recorded in this second quarter, it is around 8.2% that led to beat this Japan. So that is the main reason, guys. Okay, now let us see the details. Why? What are the reasons why India beated Japan? The first one here is there is increased domestic demand and consumption. What is the meaning of domestic demand? Okay, in our country, whoever the citizens are there, those citizens, they all started consuming more number of goods. If there is more demand in our country, which is created by us, what happened? There will be increased production in our country. So if there is increased production, obviously that will contribute to GDP. That is the first reason. There is increased domestic. Domestic means nothing but our country's demand. Our country's people demand is increasing. And our country's people consumption is increasing. So because of this, that led to increased economic activity. And next one is our government took lots of reforms, structural reforms and policy measures. What are those? For example, Make in India. We are promoting Make in India goods in our country. And next one is Digital India. And we are focusing on economic reforms like strengthening of foundations. Recently, we came up with this GST 2.0 reforms. And next one here is there is low inflation in our country. What is meaning of inflation? Whenever there is increasing of prices of goods and services in market, that condition is called as inflation. Low inflation is nothing but low prices in the market. So if the low prices are there, what happens? If you go to market, if you go to any shopping mall, and in that shopping mall, if they are giving any offers like buy one get one free, buy one get two free, 40% off on this, if you buy two products 60% off, have you came across this kind of things? So if you're having more offers, for example, if you went to that shop to buy only one t-shirt, you were attracted with that offers, how many will you buy? Instead of one, you'll buy three, four, like that. Yes, that is a common tendency, common psychology of humans. So because of this low inflation, there is increased demand in the market. That led to increased production. That finally contributed to GDP. And even there is declining of unemployment. So why there is declining of unemployment? Government came up with this program called as Production Linked Incentive Scheme. Okay, what is this production linked incentive scheme? It is nothing bad. It is saying the companies or industries by the government that if you increase production, I'll give you incentives. So whenever they want to increase production to get incentives, they have to employ more labor so that what happens, they can produce more. If they produce more only, they will get incentives from the government. Are you understanding? So because of this, what is happening? Now the companies are recruiting more labor. So if they are recruiting more labor, what about this unemployment rate? Decreased or increased? Decreased unemployment rate. That is the one thing. And next one is government came up with this ELI scheme recently. What is ELI? Employment Linked Incentive Scheme. What is Employment Linked Incentive Scheme? Here industries has to tie up with the colleges, universities. So here there is a certain target given to these industries, like you have to recruit this many students from these colleges. What happens as soon as the completion of their degree, they will be getting certain employment opportunities. Then what happens? Again, unemployment decreased. So here there is declining of unemployment. If more and more people are getting employment opportunities, what they will get at the end of the month? They'll get salary. If they are getting salary, what happens about their lifestyle? Obviously the change of lifestyle. Even you can check that, you can think one thing, keep this in your mind. So now which kind of food you are taking, which kind of clothes you are wearing, which kind of hostels you are living in, and which kind of hotels you are going. I think today you are planning something, today and tomorrow, right? Many of you. December 31st, January 1st, no one. You are preparing for UPSC. I know how many of you are going out, how many of you are planning what. I know. Okay, so what think that keep this in your mind, and after getting into services, after once you get salary in your hands, will you go to same kind of hotels, same kind of chai mandi now? No. So here what happens here is whenever you're getting employment opportunities, you'll get salary, so that standard of living will be increases, and there will be increasing of demands. More demands for the goods and services will happen. That will also leads to economic growth. And next one here is we are having this demographic advantage in our country. What is demographic advantage? We are having very high percentage of working population in our country. So if we are having more working population, more people will be getting employed and more production, obviously that will leads to economic growth. Okay, so these are the things which led to our economic growth, and finally we reached this fourth largest economy in the world. And what are the impacts, guys? Yes, now we are the fourth largest economy. And what we can expect in future? What will be the impacts on the people? What is the impact of India's name and fame in international arena? Come on, tell me, what happens now? Yes, India reached this fourth position. What is the significance of this position? Yes, we can achieve this Viksit Bharat status. Next, sustainable growth. India will become a superpower. Next, come on, think. Yes, we can attract more investment into our country. Yes or no? Next, foreign direct investment, foreign portfolio investment. We can maintain good foreign reserves in our country. Next, can we attract other countries mind, brain into our country or not? Yes, next. Foreign talent we can attract. Next. Yes, we can stop brain drain. Next. Okay, we can also get permanent membership in UNSC. Come on, think in that way. Come on. Hmm? We can also attract tourism. Okay, let us see here. So this position which enhance our India's geopolitical stature, and obviously we can attract greater roles. Now India can play a greater role in international forums. For example, we have G20, we have BRICS, we have ASEAN. So like that we have different international groupings. So in that international groupings, India's geopolitical stature will be increased. And now India can play a greater role in that kind of international forums and organizations. And we can attract more foreign investment now. Okay, why? Because we are building confidence in them that India is the fourth largest economy. You can invest in India so that you will be getting good market. So that what happens, other country people will come to India now and they will start investment. So if they are coming and investing, normally they will bring foreign currency only. They don't get rupees in other countries, right? So whatever the country's currency is there, they'll bring that country's currency and they will start invest in India. So that what happened, we can attract good foreign currency in our country. And next one here is, obviously we will be getting high income status. We can achieve our target Viksit Bharat. That is nothing but developed country status by 2047. Why 2047? Yes, when we got independence, 1947. So 2047 marks 100 years of independence. So here at that time, at least we need to get this developed country status. And next one is, we can create more jobs. We can increase investor confidence. We can increase job opportunities. We can also increase technology in our country. And as well as we can improve the manufacturing sector, everything. And next one here is, obviously it will have the impact on our society also. If you are getting this developed country status, or if we are increasing our income or GDP, everything, obviously we can improve our infrastructure, improve our healthcare, improve our education, everything. Okay, so this will be having a broader societal impact. Okay, now let us see the next article. Look at the title, A Multipolar World with Bipolar Characteristics. What is a multipolar? Yes, many powerful countries are there in the world. So now tell me, which are the powerful countries in the world that you know? US, China, Russia, India, because of fourth largest economy, na? Okay, India next, Japan. So like that we have many powerful countries in the world. Then what is the bipolar? Bi means two. Two polar, that means now two countries are becoming more powerful. Which are those countries which are becoming powerful now? Russia, America. Bipolar means two only, no? USA, Russia. Okay. Let me tell about this article. So if you see this title itself, it is saying that now we are in 2025. Okay, 2026. Okay, so in this year, especially across the world, we have around 198 countries. And in this 198 countries, we have many powerful countries. Normally, we have P5 countries. So which are these P5 countries? Anyone? US is there. China is there. Russia is there. UK, France. So these are the 5 powerful countries. Apart from that, India is also becoming powerful now in a different arena because of leader of global south and even fourth largest economy. And even Japan is a powerful country. So like that, Russia. Okay, Russia is a part of P5, right? So here we have different countries which are becoming powerful. Why they are becoming powerful? Their economies are improving. Yes, the technology is improving. So earlier we have P5 countries. Why? Because they are the countries which are having this nuclear bomb capacities. But different countries are having now nuclear bomb capacities, like Iran is having, and even small country, North Korea, it is shaking this US like anything. Yes, so here, like that, different countries are developing their technologies, developing their economy, everything, and they are becoming powerful now. That means in this 2026, now we are in this multipolar era. But even though there are two countries which are showing the dominance, so that is about this article. So now we have to see clearly like which country is showing dominance and why they are showing dominance, and what led to their dominance and what is the impacts. Okay, now let us see this article clearly. So here this article is saying that global order has shifted from US dominated unipolarity post 1991. So what happened in 1945, end of World War II. After that, we were in this Cold War era. In that Cold War era, two countries they showed dominance. First one is US, second one is USSR. And at that time only US came up with this grouping called as NATO, North Atlantic Treaty Organization. What this NATO says, if any country joined in this NATO, we are going to provide ultimate protection for that country. And if any other country is attacking the member of this NATO, we consider that that country is attacking all these groupings and we will try to protect that country. So that is the NATO. And actually at that time, these US and as well as USSR asked different countries whether you will be aligning with USA or USSR. At that time, India said, no, we have already our own headaches, our own problems. We don't want to align with any other country. At that time, India and this developing countries and least developed countries came up with this non-alignment movement. We don't want to align with any other country. And actually what happened in this 1991, 1990s disintegration of USSR. Okay, so you'll be coming across this concept in your world history. Okay, so after that what happened? Till that time US was very, very dominated. After this 1991, now we entered into this era of multipolar world. And we have great powers like US, Russia, and as well as China, Japan, like that. But now what is happening here is US is retains primacy, but US is facing significant challenges now. So now you guys tell me what kind of challenges US is facing now. Which country is responsible for this kind of challenges to US? First one is China. Between US and China, trade war is happening. That is the first reason. And next one here is China is dominant in most of the trade. So different countries, whatever they want, the first option they have is to go to China. So here in India also we have many China bazaars where we can get goods at a very low cost, right? And next one here is one more country from which it is getting resistance is North Korea. Why? US is supporting South Korea. So North Korea don't want that, and North Korea is becoming one of the threat to this US. Okay, now let us see in detail here. So this article is describing that in this multipolar world, now we are having this bipolar characteristics. Why? Because of US-China rivalry with Russia acting as a swinging power. So now even though we are in this multipolar world, two countries are showing the dominance. First one is US and second one is China. But in between these two countries, Russia is acting as a swing, because nowadays from last 3 years onwards, Russia is involved in this Ukraine war. So because of this, what is happening? Economy, everything had been somewhat decreased, and Russia is also facing lots of challenges related to its economy, maintaining of defense and equipment, everything. Okay, so now the two countries are showing most powerful across the world. They are US and as well as China. Okay, so if you see why this is happening here is US was the only power for many years, but now China has become very strong in money and as well as army. Especially Chinese economy is very, very strong because of its exports to different countries. And not only that, China is building up its good army and as well as nuclear arsenals. Especially if you see the technology comparing with that of India and China, China is having most advanced technology. And even the number of warheads is also more compared to that of India. So here there is strong money power and as well as army power with this China. And because of this, there is increased Chinese influence. And what China is doing, China is going for one project called as Belt and Road Initiative. What is Belt and Road Initiative? China wants to connect different countries through its infrastructure projects. Actually, China is very good at constructions activities, especially if you want to build any house now in India. How many days it will take? Minimum 3 to 4 months just for a ground level. Minimum 3 to 4 months. If you have money, you can build. But China can build 24 floors building within overnight. Within a single night, it can build 24 floors building. So what it is, it is like it is very very good at construction infrastructure, and it came up with this project called as BRI. It is developing infrastructure in different countries. If it is laying roads and as well as railways infrastructure in other countries, obviously that country will come under the control of China. Okay, so that is this project Belt and Road Initiative. So because of this Belt and Road Initiative, what China is doing is China is going to countries and China says that we are going to develop this. So please accept this proposal. And if you are accepting this proposal, they will say that we only give the loans for you. And they will give the loans and they will build the roads. And if that country cannot repay that amount, what happened? That country will be coming into the control of China. So that is the thing which is happening in the different countries. Even China, even Sri Lanka, which is a small island, which came under the control of this China because of development of Hambantota port. Like that, China is developing ports, and that concept is called a string of pearls. What is a string of pearls? String of pearls is nothing but China is selecting certain countries which are having boundary with this Indian Ocean and as well as Pacific Ocean region, and there they are going and developing the ports, and that country will comes under the debt trap, and that port is taken up by this China. So because of this, China is increasing its influence in this Indo-Pacific region. So because of this, China is becoming powerful, and it is a strong enemy of US. And this one is Russia got upset with West because of joining of Crimea. So actually what happened, Russia occupied Crimea in 2014. Because of this, Russia became bad in this Western countries, and even Ukraine now wants to join this NATO. So because of that reason only, Russia started attacking Ukraine, and it had been completed 3 years, but there is no end of this war. And this one here is recently US came up with this act called as Russian Sanction Act, and that what US is trying, US is imposing sanctions on the countries which are going for trade with this Russia, and because of that reason only US is imposing 50% of tariff on Indian goods. Again, because of that, here US is showing that I can control everything. So in this way, US is showing big brother attitude. And now China is building a huge navy and wants to have the more control in this Asia under this BRI project and as well as String of Pearls project. And US is trying to keep its top position even by using the old ideas to stop China's growth. So in this way now, even though we are in this multipolar world, but two countries are showing dominance across the world. That is called as bipolarism. So what is the impact here? If only two countries are becoming powerful, if US is imposing sanctions on the countries which are doing the trade with this Russia, is that good? Now other countries are feeling less safe because there is no clear terms or rules that everyone is following now. And next one is countries like middle income countries, especially India, Japan, Brazil, they do not fully join one side. They cannot join China, they cannot join America. That is the issue. And next one here is there is a bigger chance of fights and small wars because of these powerful countries are competing directly. And next one is US has to work harder to keep friends in Europe and Asia. If USA is behaving like this, what happens? There will be distortion in the trust. So because of this, it has to try a lot to make the friends. And next one is China is getting stronger in many places, especially in this Asia and Africa. And next one here is Russia can cause a big changes in the different countries. And overall, the world is in a messy now. Okay, so lots of changes are happening. So you have to think like what can be done, what can be the solution for this bipolarism. Okay, so this is about this topic, guys. And see the questions. First question, and this is the PYQ. Directly in 2019, I took this PYQ, and you have to tell me the answer. Consider the following statements about particularly vulnerable tribal groups in India. There are 75 PVTGs notified by Government of India. PVTGs are spread across 18 states and 1 UT. Odisha is the highest number of Odisha has the highest number of PVTGs among all states. All PVTGs have been enumerated separately in previous census exercises. This is 2019 question. Even though if you know nothing, you can solve this question. How? Yeah, option A is the right answer. 1, 2, 3. So actually in India, we have 75 PVTGs, and PVTGs are spread across 18 states and 1 union territory. Odisha has the highest number of PVTGs among all states. All PVTGs has been enumerated separately in previous census exercises. That means normally whenever we are doing census, what is a census? It is nothing but collection of data of population, right? And what is the last census? 2011. And we are expecting in 2026 or 27, we are going to start this census. Okay. That means what is the first criteria to identify PVTG? Their number should be less, their growth should be stagnant or negative growth. So how can we know that the population number is less? Only in the census. So whenever we are doing census, for example 2001 census, 2011 census, 2027 census, like that, if you are doing the census and if you are getting the data, then only we can identify that people will come under the PVTGs or not. So here the statement is saying that all PVTGs are enumerated in previous. Okay, so it is not that. So every census added certain number of PVTGs. So if you remove that, the answer will be 1, 2 and 3, and remaining all are general statements. Okay, you can apply this kind of tricks, all, only, extreme statements. Okay, next question, look at the board. Consider the following pairs, PVTGs and their states. And you have to answer this. First one is Toda, Tamil Nadu, Birho, Jharkhand, Korwa, Chhattisgarh, Onk, Odisha. Think. Apply basic common sense. 1, 2, 3. What about 4? What about 4? Onk, Odisha or not? Tell me tribes of Andaman and Nicobar. Andamanis, Nicobaris, Shompen, Ong, Sentinelese. Ong comes under Andaman and Nicobar, and you will get this kind of question this year because of Shompen tribe and Andaman Nicobar tribes, which is in news. Are you understanding? In this way, you have to see PVTGs and states they belongs to. And one more question you may get here is, all tribes in this Andaman and Nicobar are not PVTG. Only one tribe is not PVTG, that is Nicobaris. On this also you may get question. Nicobar is not PVTG, but remaining all tribes in Andaman and Nicobar are PVTGs. Remember this point. Okay, see this next question. Consider the following statements about Kolatam, a traditional folk dance. It is primarily performed by women using 2 short wooden sticks. The dance is known as Kolnalu in AP. It is the South Indian equivalent of Gujarat's Dandiya Ras. It is performed exclusively by men during martial displays. 2 and 3. First ఏంటి? What is about first? Exclusively. And they said here martial displays. Martial is nothing but fighting related. Is this dance related to any fighting? No, it is wrong. And it is performed by women using 2 short wooden sticks. It is right only, no? Answer is A, 1, 2 and 3. 4 statement is wrong. Okay, yeah, these are the questions. That's all, guys. By this I'm concluding. Thank you so much, guys, for watching, and if you really like this class, please do hit the like button and please do share this class to your friends. And one more thing is, if you want to get the PDF of this class, please do join the Telegram channel. There we are providing this PDF. And if you are following our Instagram page, where we are providing mains question, model answer, and also current affairs in short, and as well as prelims question with answer, don't miss that, guys. And all these links are given in the description box. Thank you so much.